How to assemble die number 1037 in the Pop It Ups line from Elizabeth Craft Designs. This is the Christmas Trees Pop Stand die. You always choose your card size with Pop It Ups. I will tell you that for a big tree with a star on top, you probably want at least 5 inches in height. So I'm going to use an A2 long card here. 4 1/4 wide, it's 11 inches long, scored in the middle at 5.5 inches. And I embossed both halves of that card with my damask embossing folder. That way I kind of get double duty decoration. It does the outside and the inside at the same time. The die set comes with a little pop stand die, and this is what's used to animate a tree. You can put that anywhere along the fold. The little alignment nubs need to go right over the fold. I'm centering it for this card. I'm just going to do one large tree in this card. So that little pop stand die is going to be what sets the location of the tree. So what the pop stand die does is it cuts little tabs on either side of the fold in the location that you need to animate the tree. Now, of course, you can decorate your card any way you want, but I wanted to show you a fun technique for when you're using pattern paper inside your card and you want to create the look of a little tree skirt around your tree. And I'm going to do that, in this case, through a scalloped circle die that I'm going to cut out of the pattern paper that's going to go inside the card, and it'll end up being the negative space that creates the tree skirt. Now, I did just pull this pattern paper from my stash. It's a Heidi Swap design. It's a couple years old. I'll look for a source and put it in the About section. If I can't find one, just substitute any kind of paper that you have in your stash that's a Christmas theme. Now, I will say you want to do this in 2 panels. You don't want to do a panel with a fold in the middle because fold in a fold is tough. We want our card to open all the way up. So definitely do it in 2 separate panels that will meet in the fold of the card, and that negative space will create that little tree skirt look. I went with a green cardstock for my pop-up expanding tree, and I also embossed it with the damask folder and then sanded both sides. Now, because that's a core cardstock, which means it has a white core, that damask pattern is really going to turn up when I sand it. And now I'm just going to lay all of my dies, my 4 tree dies, on that paper and then die cut. So the 3 trees that kind of have the mechanical parts, you know, the notches and the slots, I just need 1 of each of those. So this one has a slot up the middle and notches top and bottom. And there's another small tree, it does not have a slot, it just has the notches top and bottom. And then there's a bigger tree that just has a slot. So I need 1 of each of those 3 I'm done. Now my biggest tree, the one that has the trunk, the middle part comes out. That's a solid tree that I can use for other designs or on the front of the card. And then there's also the tree frame. So that's going to be the mechanical part of my expanding tree. So I need 2 of those. So I will have to go back through now with that one particular die and cut a second little tree frame. When the tree comes out, of course, obviously it's all the same color, but there's another die in the set that's just a little trunk. And that trunk can be used on the big tree to change the color. I'm going to make it brown. And it can also be used on the little solid tree to create a trunk for it. I also added some Elizabeth Craft Designs double-sided adhesive to the back of a scrap of silver shimmer sheets, and that's what I'm going to use for my star. So since I'm cutting shimmer sheets, and especially because the shimmer sheets has the adhesive on the back, I'm going to use a Sizzix Precision base plate. So you flip that over and you use this side as the side you cut into. You will be amazed at the things that you will be able to cut nicely, intricate dies, cut thicker and plasticky materials by just using that base plate on the bottom instead of your bottom cutting pad. And it cut through that shimmer sheet with the adhesive on the back with no trouble. Okay, I cut several more of the trunks. I wanted 4 total, and I'll take the first 2 and I'm just going to use them on the fronts of those big tree frames. So they're self-adhesive because I put the double-sided adhesive on the back when I die cut them. Now my little trees have brown trunks. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay one of those tree frames face down in front of each of those tabs. Now from here it's going to be basically your usual pop stand assembly. So what that means is you put a little adhesive on the tabs, you fold them over and right onto the back of the item. Now I'm using my fine line bottle filled with Lineco pH neutral adhesive. You don't have to remember that. You can just go to the About section of this YouTube video and you're going to find links to all of the products that I used. Then once I have my little tabs attached to the back of my trees, before I would go any further, what I would like to do, this is just a little bit of realism. Maybe you're not going to see it too much, but why not? It's easy to do right now. I'm going to take 2 more of those little brown trunk pieces that I cut with the adhesive on the back and just put them on the insides of those trees. And that'll cover up those little white tabs so you never see them. Now, so far, if you are familiar with pop stands at all, you know that we've just been doing the usual stuff. You would attach those trees at the top and then you'd be done. But not for this card because we have a little expanding tree. So we want to put the expanding parts in before we connect the tops of the trees. And that's going to start with the biggest mechanical tree. So that's the one that has the slot up the middle. It does not matter whether you put the adhesive on the back tree or the front tree, but you just need it up at the top. And then the idea is that this big slotted tree is just going to center and press to that adhesive. So now it's going to be connected to that tree up at the top only. You'll notice that the bottom is still, not connected. The next tree to go in is the small tree that has the slot, and it also has notches top and bottom. And so the first step is to get the notch at the bottom of that tree down into the slot of the big tree. And then from there, what you want to do is you want to pull that tree right through the slot to the other side. Now that may require that you fold down the little triangle next to the notch at the top of that little tree, allow you to pull it through easier, and then just unfold it when you get it through the slot. And that'll lock those two together. So give it a good wiggle and make sure that it's just swinging freely inside there, but now it'll be locked in place, and then you can flatten it so that you can see through both slots. So what's happening is both slots are lining up now, and then you've got another tree to put in. So once again, you're going to slide that tree in so that the notch is in the bottom, and if it's easier to just go ahead and fold down that triangle to start, you could do that. So now I've got that triangle folded down. I'm going to slide that tree right through both slots, get the notch in the bottom, seat it down in there, and then because I folded down that little triangle at the top, I should be able to just pull that through, if I can find the right angle while I'm trying to do this video. Pull that through, unfold it on the back, and then now I've got all the trees together. Kind of spread open those two small trees so that they lay flat, and then from here it's just typical pop stand assembly. So you're going to add a little glue at the top of the tree. It doesn't really matter which side you put the glue on, and then bring those big trees up to each other and press them at the top so that they are connected to each other. So let's take a look at this finished tree. The big solid slotted tree kind of hangs in the middle, and then the two small trees are making an X, and they're kind of coming through the big frames onto the front of the tree and the back of the tree. You may have to give it a little wiggle the first time you close it. Make sure that it finds that spot where those two small trees kind of separate and become flat again. Once you've trained it once or twice, it usually remembers it. You shouldn't have to do too much fiddling with it. It'll just remember how to close. I had thought I was going to put some decorations on the tree, but I sure like it just the way it is. I think I'm just going to go with a silver star at the top. And I cut I cut two actually from the shimmer sheets, and I've added one since it's self-adhesive. I've added one to the top of the tree since it's sticky on the back. Then I'm going to go ahead, back fold the card so that I can lay the tree flat. That'll allow me to easily line up my other star on the back side of the first star so that they're basically silver on both sides, stuck to each other back to back at the top of the tree. See how beautiful that card opens all the way flat, and that's because it's just a single fold. It's just the white card that has the fold in it, and I don't want to mess with that. I don't want to try and put a backing card on it that has a fold in it, because I'll never get that lined up to where it can open fully flat again. Instead, I'm just going to use a paper panel on the front of the card, and you do want to add your adhesive around the hole. I've used the Elizabeth Craft Designs double-sided adhesive. You wouldn't want to just put it all over the back of the red paper because you might end up with adhesive down in the hole. I'm also going to add a little washi tape to the front of this card, just some added decoration. I found this striped stuff and it seems to match the paper from the inside, so that seemed like a good plan. I'm going to take advantage of those solid trees that came out of the middle of the frames. Now those could be animated as their own little pop stand, but they can also be used to make great little flat trees. And since there is that separate little trunk die, you can use that to create a finished tree. Plus you've got the little garland dies, those come with the set as well. Real easy to make a decoration for the front of the card. So this finished card is just a standard A2 size card. It'll mail for a single stamp in an A2 envelope. I didn't put anything bulky in it, so it's not going to be an issue of it being too thick or too heavy to go through the mail for a single stamp. I mentioned that you can also animate the smaller tree on the pop stand, and that's what I did for this one. I just slid the pop stand down so that I could cut two of them. There is a stamp that actually fits on the small tree, so that makes for some easy decoration. Glitter dots also work great as ornaments on the tree. So lots of different ways you can combine the pieces and make fun pop-up Christmas trees, but also flat trees as well. In the About box under this YouTube video, there is a link to the blog post where you can see the pictures of this finished card, and there'll be full supply links as well. You can also go to ecraftdesigns.com. Karen Burniston Designer on Facebook. If you like that page, you'll see daily Pop-It Ups inspiration, and you can always find more ideas on my blog, karenburniston.com. Thanks for watching.